Right guys, in this video I've got this 20-inch Ferguson valve hybrid TV dating back from the very late 60s, early 70s. It's a 20-inch one. It's exactly the same sort of TV I used to bring back when I was little from the tip on my chopper bike, and we're going to have a go at getting it going. I've been doing TVs all my life, so plenty of parts in stock for these. There's no reason why it shouldn't be repairable. I've had a look through my archives and I managed to dig out the proper service manual for it, so we're halfway there to fixing it. That's the service manual. The first thing we need to do is remove the back and reform the aluminium oxide layer on the mains reservoir capacitor before we even think about turning it on. Right, okay, so that's the 1500 with the back removed. I can see straight away by the soldering it's had some repairs in the past. That's the frame output valve. If we turn it around, you can also see that the dropper section's been bodged up there. There's a new capacitor there. That was a radio spares one, looks to be from the 80s, so it certainly had some odd repairs in the past, but we're not going to concern ourselves with that at the moment. All we concern ourselves with is actually getting it going and see what the picture's like when it comes on, and then we can change lots of bits, hoover it all out, clean it, and finish the restoration. So the first thing we're going to do is turn that around like that, and I'm not going to film this continuously. We're going to keep stopping the camera and starting. There's 4 sections to the main HT reservoir capacitor. We're going to reform them one by one. So I'll just set it up. I'll set the reformer up showing you, and then we'll stop the camera because it's going to be a few hours to do this before we can even think about turning it on. Right, okay, so now the clip's come off. I'm just going to connect up the high voltage capacitor reformer that I made about, I don't know, a long time ago, about 10 years ago. Let's get that on there first. Right, that's connected up to the first one, and let's start with the first section on the capacitor. I'm just trying to hold the camera while I'm doing it. Right, switch it on. There we go. And you can see the charge building up in the capacitor. Right, what we've got to do now is leave that for a good 2 or 3 hours until the pointer comes into the green, and then when that's done we'll move on to the second section, the third section and the fourth section. And that's the reason we're recording this video in stages rather than continuously, because you don't want to sit watching this for about 4 hours. So I'll just stop the camera there and we'll come back to it in a couple of hours. Right, okay, so here we go. If you take a look at that now, we are about 85% reformed, which is about as good as it's going to get on this capacitor. So all we need to do now is switch off the reformer. We'll plug it, well, we're not going to plug it straight in the mains yet. I'm going to run it up through a variac, just start about 190, 200 volts to run it up slowly, and we'll take it from there. Right, so here we go. Let's see what happens. It's connected to the variac. I've also connected that to a mains isolation transformer, so there's no catastrophic failure. I've set the variac for about 80%. This will be the first time this has been on in well more than 20 years. Let's see what happens. Here we go. I'll just run a little bit of power through it and then we'll turn the variac up, because with the low mains voltage we might not get emission on the valves to get a picture. We'll just run a little bit of power through it first. Let's have a look if it's lit. Yeah, the valves are lighting. So I'll just warm up the valves a little bit and then we'll turn the variac up. Oh, I can hear sound, it's crackling. brightness. Right, let's whiz the variac up. Volume down a bit. Right, so as you can see, it's actually come on. We've got a little bit of a frame fault there, and let's stop the camera and see if we can connect a signal source to it, see what happens. Right, okay, so we've got the variac set at 100% now. We're running full mains through the telly. I've connected the RF to a skybox. Let's try tuning it in. Push buttons need a bit of work there, so we can get one to lock in, and let's see what happens. Well, that sounds good.
My boned and stuffed chicken is ready for the oven. I'm not even worried about basting this chicken because inside it is all that sausage, very fatty. That's going to keep the breast nice and moist.
Just stop the camera while just the line hold. Right, okay, so that's looking good so far. I've spotted quite a few things wrong with it. The linearity's out at the bottom. We've got striations down one side, linearity's out at the top. And if I change channel on the skybox, I've actually spotted another little problem. If you look at the focusing, the picture's actually a bit blurred. Now that could be a problem with the focus circuit, or it could be the tube that's low emission. So I think probably the next thing to do is to test the tube before we go any further. Right, that's a picture of it actually running. I don't think you'll be able to see. Oh yeah, you can see the valves lit up. That's the line output valve, and the small one's the efficiency diode. You can see where the drop has been bodged up. We'll have to put a new one in there. So I'll just, that's a picture of it running. I'll just stop the camera and then we'll test the tube next. Right, okay, so I've got my tube tester out. I've already connected it to there. What we're going to do is just set up the heater voltage. So we want 6.3. Yeah, there we go, that's set for 6.3. Right, read emission. So if the fault is with a tube, it's going to be in the red. If it's the fault's not, if the tube's okay, it's going to be in the green. It does actually look to me like the tube might be faulty, but here we go, let's switch it to read emission. Just give it a second to stabilise, and oh dear, that's bad news, because it says on there, if you look closely, the tube's actually bad. So I mean, what I could do, this will rejuvenate it because it's a tester and a rejuvenator, or boost it as we used to call it in the 70s, but that's only a short-term cure. Eventually it'll fail again. Probably the best thing to do is just to slip a brand new tube in and take it from there. Right, okay, so that's the new tube ready to go in. It's actually a re-gun, which is a remanufactured new old one. It's A5120. It's dated June 1982, so it's not as old as the original Mullard A5120W that's in. I've got it on my tube tester now. You can see it's lit up, and if we look at the emission is 85%, which is as good as it gets for a re-gun. So we'll just whip that in and see where we go from there, see what the picture's like then. Right, okay guys, so that's the old the low emission Mullard tube out. If you look down there, That's the regun one in, and just stop the camera a minute, we'll turn it on and check out what it's like now. Right, look at that, that's a better picture now. We've got sharp focusing. Obviously there's still a lot more work to do on this TV. The width's in, the frame linearity is very poor, a lot of the controls and noising aren't doing anything, all they need to change. There's still quite a lot of work to do on this telly, but as you can see it's coming on very nicely. Let's just change the skybox. That's the Olympics. No, I don't really want that on. Let's put something else on. There we go. So I think the best thing to do now is we're going to have to stop the camera. I'm going to make a part 2 to this video. But as you can see, oops, out with the old tube, in with the new one. That's improved the picture vastly. There's just quite a few more parts to change on it to make this into as good a new 20-inch black and white TV set. Can't see it very well because the sun's shining. So we can get out the sun. Yeah, there you go. So stay tuned, subscribe to my channel, more videos coming soon. As you can see, I can work with valves, I can work with transistors, ICs. I've been doing this job that long, I can more or less work with anything now. So okay guys, I'll see you again. Watch out for part 2.